I was halfway through reheating leftover takeout when my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number. I almost let it go to voicemail. Almost. But something made me swipe. Hello. There was a pause, then a voice I hadn't heard in almost 7 years. It's me, it's Sarah. My sister. My stomach dropped. She was crying. Like really crying, full-on sobbing. It's Dad, she choked. He's had a heart attack. He's in critical condition. They need to operate now, but it's $30,000. We don't have it. It felt like the air left the room. I hadn't spoken to my family since I walked out on them 7 years ago, after what happened with Mom's will. They'd picked my brother over me, said I was too emotional, too greedy, too much. So I disappeared, changed cities, changed numbers, changed my life. But now here was Sarah, in hysterics, begging me to help save our father. A man I hadn't spoken to since the day he told me I was a disappointment. I wouldn't call if it wasn't life or death, she cried. Please, we can't lose him. I didn't even realize I was pacing. My fingers trembled as I pressed the phone tighter to my ear. Why now? I asked, my voice small. After all these years, why call me now? Because we need you, she said, raw and desperate. Please. We'll pay you back, I swear. Just help us. I should have said no. I should have told her to call our brother, the golden child who could do no wrong. But hearing her sob like that, I cracked. I told her I'd transfer the money within the hour. The hospital's name she gave me checked out. The story matched what little I could verify online. I sent the money. $30,000, just like that. Afterward, I sat alone on my couch, staring at the blank TV screen, feeling hollow. No thank you message. No update. Nothing. Just the weight of old wounds cracking open again. By the next morning, I still hadn't heard back. That's when I called the hospital myself, and everything started to unravel. I called the hospital's main line first. I asked to speak with someone in billing. I figured that'd be the safest route. Not too intrusive, not too obvious. Just a concerned family member verifying a payment. The woman on the other end was polite. She asked for the patient's name and date of birth. Robert Langston, I said. Born June 3rd, 1959. There was a pause. I'm sorry, sir, we don't have a patient by that name currently admitted. My mouth went dry. Could he be under another name? I asked, trying to sound calm. Maybe transferred from another hospital? She double-checked. Still nothing. No record. No recent admittance. No surgery. No heart attack. I thanked her and hung up. I stared at my phone for what felt like forever, like maybe if I glared hard enough, the answer would appear. But there was only one answer. I'd been scammed. By my own sister. The betrayal burned worse than the money. It wasn't like I had 30 grand lying around. That was a massive chunk of my emergency savings. Years of careful budgeting and sacrificing vacations, skipping out on luxury, grinding. And I gave it up in an instant because I thought maybe, just maybe, there was still something human left in the people who used to be my family. I called Sarah. Straight to voicemail. I texted her. No response. I called again, then tried my brother, Matt. Nothing. I even called my father's old landline. Disconnected. It felt like the world was spinning. Not from confusion anymore, but fury. And then all the old memories came flooding back. The way Matt always got everything he wanted. The way Dad used to say, real men don't cry, when I was 12 and grieving our dog. The way Sarah stopped returning my calls the second Mom passed, and our inheritance got tied up in a mess that conveniently worked in Matt's favor. They always made me feel like the outsider. The dramatic one. The black sheep. When I finally cut ties, it was to save myself. And now, they dragged me right back in. But this wasn't just betrayal. This was fraud. Theft. And I wanted answers. The next day, I took a sick day from work, bought a last-minute ticket, and flew back to my hometown. I hadn't been back since the funeral. My hands shook as I drove past the old bakery where Mom used to take me. The boarded-up movie theater where we saw Back to the Future when I was 5. I drove straight to Sarah's house. And when I saw what was parked in her driveway, my heart nearly stopped. A brand-new SUV. Black, sleek, with temporary tags. It didn't take a detective to figure out where the $30,000 went. I sat in my rental car for almost 15 minutes, staring at that SUV. It wasn't just new, it was luxury. The kind of car people get when they want to be seen. Heated seats, panoramic sunroof, probably voice-activated everything. I could still hear Sarah's sobs echoing in my head. We're gonna lose him. Please, we need you. And there it was. My money. Sitting in her driveway, gleaming in the sunlight. I didn't knock right away. I was scared of what I'd do. Scared of how easily all that old rage had come back, the kind that curdled in your stomach and made your voice shake with every word. But I needed answers. I got out of the car and walked to her door. I knocked once, twice. She answered on the third knock, looking surprised, almost like she'd seen a ghost. "Wah, what are you doing here?" she stammered. "Nice car," I said, not even trying to hide my tone. "Must have cost, what, 30 grand?" Her eyes darted behind me, then back. It's not what you think." "No? Then tell me what it is," I snapped. "Because the hospital has no record of Dad being admitted." I checked. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. "Did you even think about what you were doing when you called me? Or were you just hoping I was still the same idiot who used to believe your crocodile tears? Please, can we not do this out here?" "Do what, Sarah? Talk about how you conned your own brother? Lied about our father dying to get money out of me?" She looked genuinely panicked. She stepped out and tried to shut the door behind her, but I caught a glimpse of someone inside the house. Matt, sitting on the couch, eating. So they were both in on it. I shoved past her. "Oh, look who it is. The prince himself." I should have known. Matt stood up, startled, his mouth full. "Dude, you can't just barge in here." I laughed. Actually laughed. "You're telling me about boundaries? You stole from me." Sarah shut the door and turned to me, her voice trembling. "We didn't have a choice." "Don't you dare say that," I said. "You had a choice. You could have picked up the phone and talked to me like an actual human being. You could have asked. But no, you lied. You cried. You pulled out every guilt trip you could think of. And I fell for it." Matt folded his arms. "Look, things have been hard, all right? We didn't know how else to reach you. You cut us off." "That doesn't mean you get to rob me," I said. "You manipulated me. You weaponized my guilt." Sarah wiped her eyes. "We were going to pay you back." "When?" I shot back. "After the next scam? Or once you finished remodeling the house, too?" Neither of them answered. I turned toward the door. "This isn't over." Sarah followed me out. "Please, don't call the police. It'll ruin everything. The kid's my job. You should have thought about that before you called me." I walked away. I didn't go back to the hotel. I drove straight to Dad's house. And when he opened the door, standing there alive and well, holding a cup of coffee in his favorite flannel robe, he just blinked at me and said, "Well, look who finally decided to come home." I stood there, speechless. My father looked older, sure, but healthy. His face wasn't pale or gaunt. His hands didn't shake. His voice didn't sound like someone who had just survived a near-fatal heart attack. In fact, he looked better than he had the last time I saw him, which was in a hospital 7 years ago, when Mom died. "Are you not going to say anything?" he asked, sipping his coffee. "I thought you were dead," I muttered. "Sarah said you had a heart attack. Said you needed emergency surgery. That it was life or death." He blinked slowly, then gave a long sigh, like someone dropping a heavy bag after a long walk. "Of course she did," he said, setting his mug down. "Come in." I didn't move. "Please," he added, "just for a few minutes." I stepped inside, unsure whether I was angrier at him or myself. The house smelled the same. Old wood and stale coffee, and something I couldn't name, but always associated with this place. Home, maybe, in that twisted nostalgic way. The photos on the wall hadn't changed. My mom's smiling face stared at me from a dozen frames, like she was still here, watching this unfold. He sat in his recliner and gestured for me to take the couch. I stayed standing. "Did you know what they did?" I asked. He nodded. "They told me after." "And you were okay with it?" "No," he said. "I wasn't. But I wasn't exactly surprised, either." I stared at him, heart pounding. "You're seriously just okay with your kids scamming your other kid for 30 grand? "I didn't ask for money," he said. "I didn't even know they were calling you until after the fact." Sarah came over crying, talking about what they did, saying they thought it was the only way you'd ever talk to them again. "That's insane," I said. "Yeah," he agreed. "It is." I let out a bitter laugh. "You really raised some winners." He flinched at that. "You think I don't know I messed up? You think I haven't spent the last 7 years thinking about how I treated you? Oh, so now you want to be the remorseful father?" I snapped. "Where was this version of you when you called me a parasite after Mom's funeral?" He rubbed his eyes. "I was grieving. I didn't know how to deal with anything. I lashed out. I blamed you because you were the only one who ever fought back." "Yeah, well, fighting back got me cut out of my own family," I said. Silence stretched between us. He looked exhausted now. Maybe not from age or health, but from the weight of all the years we wasted. Do you want the money back? He asked quietly. From you? No, I said. From them? Absolutely. He gave a slow nod. Then take it. Whatever you have to do. Take it. I looked at him, confused. And then he leaned forward and said the one thing I never expected. There's something you don't know. About your mom's will. About why things turned out the way they did. I should have told you years ago, but I was a coward. I sat down slowly. What are you talking about? He swallowed hard. Your mom left everything to you. I stared at him like he'd just spoken in a different language. What do you mean she left everything to me? I asked. She wrote a second will, he said. A revised one. After she got sick. He got up and walked to a drawer in the hallway, rummaging through old papers until he came back holding a weathered manila envelope. He handed it to me like it weighed 100 pounds. I found it a week after the funeral, he said quietly. It was in her dresser, tucked in with her jewelry. Signed. Notarized. Everything. I opened the envelope and unfolded the will. There it was, my name. Sole beneficiary. Property. Savings. Even the paintings she always kept in the attic. I shook my head in disbelief. You're telling me you found this and said nothing? I couldn't, he said. Sarah and Matt were already in pieces. And you were screaming, threatening to sue, demanding fairness. Because it wasn't fair. I snapped. You three made me feel like a thief for even asking questions. He looked down. I was scared. I thought if I showed them the will, it would destroy what little family I had left. So you let them believe I was just trying to take more than I deserved. He didn't answer. He didn't have to. The betrayal I'd felt back then suddenly deepened. This wasn't just about money. This was about years stolen from me. My name tarnished, my grief turned into shame, all because my father couldn't face conflict. I stood up, the will shaking in my hands. They hated me for this, I said. Do you understand that? They told people I was trying to rob Mom's grave. And all that time, I was the only one actually honoring her wishes. I know, he whispered. And I'll never forgive myself for it. I left without another word. Back in my rental car, I sat in the parking lot of a bank and took a long, hard breath. Then I called a lawyer. I explained everything. The fake medical emergency. The wire transfer. The falsified crisis. He asked if I had proof, texts, bank records, call logs. I had all of it. You have a solid case, he said. They defrauded you. And if what you told me about the will is accurate, you may also have grounds to reopen the estate. The word justice rang in my ears. That night, I stayed in a hotel outside of town. I didn't eat, didn't sleep. I kept playing every scene in my head. Sarah sobbing over the phone, Matt smug on that couch, my father handing me the envelope like a peace offering forged in guilt. By morning, I made my decision. I filed charges. I filed to challenge the will's execution. I wanted the money back. But more than that, I wanted the truth to be seen. I wanted everyone they'd lied to, manipulated, turned against me. I wanted them to know. This wasn't just about $30,000 anymore. This was about everything they took from me. Filing the lawsuit was like lighting a match in a house soaked with gasoline. Within a week, my phone started blowing up. Not from Sarah or Matt, they were silent. But extended family, old neighbors, even people I hadn't heard from since high school were suddenly so sorry and didn't realize the truth. Apparently, Sarah had started telling people that I'd gone off the deep end, that I was trying to ruin the family with false accusations. But then I sent the will. I attached it to every message I got. One document, one signature, one final wish from the woman who raised me. And just like that, the tide turned. I hadn't expected sympathy, but I got it. A lot of it. Turns out, people had always suspected Matt, and Sarah manipulated Mom's final days. Some even remembered how I was pushed out during the funeral planning, barred from meetings, dismissed when I tried to speak during the service. I thought it was strange what they said about you, one of Mom's old friends messaged. Now it makes sense. But the messages I didn't get were from the people who mattered most. Sarah, Matt, Dad. They all went quiet. It was the attorney who told me why. They're panicking, he said over the phone. They know this could get serious, especially if the fraud case holds. That's jail time. Part of me thought they'd fight back, maybe try to spin some counter-narrative. But no, they were too used to being the heroes in their version of the story. They didn't know how to play the villain. 2 weeks after the court summons were delivered, I got a voicemail from Sarah. Her voice was small. Hello. I know you hate me. I don't blame you. I messed up, okay? But please, don't do this to the kids. Don't take everything. We were desperate. Matt lost his job, and I was trying to keep things together. I thought if we could just get through one more month, we'd be okay. She paused. Then, I never wanted to hurt you. I just didn't know what else to do. It was the same justification she gave for the fake heart attack call. We didn't know how else to reach you. They kept using desperation as a license to hurt me, like it excused everything. But it didn't. And now, for the first time, they were feeling the consequences. My lawyer offered to settle. Said we could negotiate a full return of the $30,000, a formal apology, and the re-execution of the original will, if I agreed to drop criminal charges. It sounded fair, but it wasn't enough. I didn't just want repayment. I wanted accountability. That night, I drove back to Dad's house. I didn't call ahead. He answered the door like he was expecting me. They're breaking, he said softly. They'll give it back. I'm not here for the money, I said. I'm here for the truth. He looked confused. I stepped inside. You let them destroy me, I said. And now I'm going to make sure that story gets rewritten. His eyes filled with something. Maybe guilt, maybe regret, maybe just fear of being seen for what he was. He didn't stop me when I walked upstairs. To the attic. To Mom's old paintings, untouched for years. To the pieces of her that still belonged to me. The attic was dusty and dim, but I knew exactly where to go. I remembered every box Mom labeled by hand, every canvas she tucked away after a show. She used to say they weren't good enough for galleries, but I always thought they were her best work. Raw, emotional, unfinished in a way that felt intentional. I found them covered in a faded sheet. A dozen canvases, maybe more. When I pulled them out, the smell of oil paint and time hit me hard. This wasn't just art. It was evidence. Proof of what she wanted for me. What she wanted for us. A mother and son who never fit into the tidy roles the rest of the family had written. I took every single one of those paintings, packed them carefully into the back of my rental, and drove straight to a storage unit I'd rented under my own name. I didn't tell Dad. I didn't tell anyone. They'd stolen enough from me. Not anymore. The next week, I refused the settlement offer. I wanted it all in writing. In court. Public. I wanted the truth dragged into the light where everyone could see it. That they lied, manipulated, and stole. That they took advantage of my grief, twisted it into guilt, then turned that guilt into profit. Sarah's lawyer begged for leniency. Matt stayed silent. Dad issued a letter to the court, admitting he concealed the will and took part in the deception by omission. It wasn't heroic, but it was something. And in the end, the judge ruled in my favor. The revised will was upheld. The estate was reopened. The inheritance, what was left of it, reverted to me. The money, the house, the art. The 30 grand was paid back. In full. And Sarah was charged with wire fraud. I didn't ask for that part. But I didn't stop it, either. People told me it was cruel. That it was just a mistake. That family does crazy things under pressure. But I'd lived under their pressure for 30 years. And it nearly destroyed me. I wasn't going to play the role of the forgiving son just to make them comfortable again. A few months later, I held a private showing of Mom's art in a small gallery downtown. Not to sell, just to honor her. Every piece was hung with her name, not mine. I didn't invite Sarah, or Matt, or Dad. Instead, I stood there alone, in front of a room full of strangers who didn't know the story behind the paint, but felt something in it anyway. And for the first time in years, I felt something too. Peace. The kind that comes not from getting even, but from finally being seen.